Committee Member Pratt. Committee Member Labrie.
Here.
Vice Chair Newkirk.
Here.
Chair Pinner.
Here.
We have a quorum. Committee members Evers, McRae, and Stahl are absent.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Sorry, make sure I'm reading the doc. Okay, I think we're moving on to the approval of the minutes. Sorry. Here we go.
Chair Pinner, before we begin that, we do have one change to the agenda.
Thank you. I apologize. I was trying to find my list, and we have a two-sided copy here, so I missed out. Okay, so do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do. On administrative agenda, item number 2, commercial property leases, we will only be discussing the lease for 920 State Street.
Okay. Thank you without objection. All right. Any other announcements?
Yes, Chair Pinner, we have a few announcements today. First off, I'd like to announce, as you've likely seen in the news, that the new Deputy City Administrator, who will obviously be working under the City Administrator and overseeing a number of different functions, including downtown parking, will be starting on Monday. We're pleased to welcome Anthony Valdez. He comes to us from Bakersfield, where he was the Assistant City Administrator. Very excited to have him on board, and we will have him here most likely next month to be introduced to you all. On the subject of next month, I know there have been some questions about the potential for construction of housing on a portion of City Lot 2. That was discussed as part of the Paseo Nuevo discussions at council, I guess a few weeks ago now. This will be coming to the committee next month, so our October 9th meeting. We will have Tess Harris in the city attorney's office here to discuss that with this committee, and I believe it's not scheduled to go back to council until December. So the committee will have an opportunity to weigh in at that point. We also want to announce the installation of our pedlets on the 500 block. Big change for downtown there with the shift of the outdoor dining to the sidewalk and the sidewalk to the pedlets. So we are wrapping up installation of those. It's been a huge lift, a huge effort by especially the downtown parking crew. So I'd like to give them all the appreciation for that, as well as the facilities division in Public Works. Thank you, Megan, for lending us your crew to assist the streets division, helping us out with some heavy equipment to get that demolition completed and to get the pedlets moved around and into place. The Parks and Rec Department, Urban Forestry Division, who did some tree trimming for us. So it's really been a citywide effort to get that out there, and we expect to have them operational later today. So we're very excited for that and for that change. Am I forgetting anything?
I think that's it.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. We'll now open up for public comment. This is the opportunity for anyone in the public who wishes to comment on something in the jurisdiction of the Downtown Parking Committee, but not on today's agenda. Do we have any requests to speak?
We have no speakers for public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment, and we'll move on to item number 1, which is the consent agenda and the approval of the minutes of the meeting of July 10th, 2025, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I've read the minutes. I would submit that we can accept them as presented.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Labrie. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. I'll call for the any discussion regarding the motion, excuse me. Seeing none, we'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right, thank you. We'll now move on to item number 2, commercial property lease of 920 State Street. Only.
Thank you, Chair Pinner. I'd like to bring to you all this discussion of one of our commercial properties. It's important to note that downtown parking has this small portfolio of rental properties adjacent our lots or structures, a sort of other business income to our primary operation in parking. We strive to manage these consistent with the rest of the city and really to best leverage our mission for downtown parking for economic vitality. We were really thrilled to have, as was presented to you all, as we'll be launching at the end of this year or at the very beginning of 2026, the Film Center as an anchor of the Libero Garage Lot 9 State Street commercial properties, of which there are 3. And we'll be discussing today the lease recommendation that we have for one of those 3 properties. I'll add that in addition, we are actively working to lease the space at 215 State Street, which is in the Amtrak Depot lot, or Lot 13, and be more to come there. It's all really exciting in terms of activating these spaces. In the case of 920 State Street, again, there's 918, 920, and then 916, which is the Film Center. 918 State Street has always been a retail space of about 1,200 square feet. We were looking to lease this at a 5-year term with a 5-year option to extend. We are settling in at a rental rate of $3,000 a month with a 10% percentage rent, which is a system that the city employs of sort of a revenue share. Over a certain threshold, the city would basically share in that percentage of revenue, in this case over $50,000 in a given month. That's a system, we don't do triple net or anything like that, but it's very standard for the city to do a percentage rent. The rent basis would adjust annually with inflation. We're really excited, and we're not really highlighting them in this presentation, but we really are excited for Estrella Emporium LLC, which is the Game Seeker, which a lot of you know formerly from the 500 block of State Street. And we're entering into a lease with them. Let me share just a little bit more about this space. The rate, the space is built out as retail. It has its own restrooms, and of course it fronts the farmers market and is adjacent to our anchor, the film center. Estrella Emporium and Game Seeker came to us amongst many different folks who came to us with wanting to tour the space and have ideas. They are an established business in the State Street Plaza. Their lease ended as part of the redevelopment of the Santa Barbara Hotel, and they were looking for a new home. And amongst all of the different interests, they were really the one solid proposal for this space as retail. There was some discussion of if that space could also be leveraged for probably a more intense use of some type of like food service. But given that that's not a previous use and that wasn't really realistic, we had no other proposals aside from this retail type use. And we feel like this is a very good cultural match. Effectively, Game Seeker sells board games. So physical games that can be played with the family, played multiplayer games. It's part of sort of their business seeks to be kind of culturally integrated with different offerings such as the library or such as other nonprofits. We think that would be a good partnership with what we're trying to strive for, of kind of a cultural engagement in this area. So we wanted to bring this to the committee to properly receive your input, and if the committee sees appropriate, recommend to City Council to approve the proposed 5-year lease agreement of 920 State Street to Estrella Emporium LLC, doing business as Game Seeker.
Great, thank you very much. I just have a couple questions. If you can go back to call it the deal. Let's go there. How do we go about, when we market the space, how do we go about determining the rental rate? Was there a number out there? How did that happen?
Chair Penner, great question. So the space was actually advertised without a rental rate listed. So we advertised the space, both posting on the space and then also advertising through commercial. We in-house brokered the space, but we used a paid commercial listing service to kind of advertise out to the world. And then we would reference previous rental rates as a baseline. But effectively, we had a kind of a two-part strategy with all prospective tenants, which was, one, is the intent, is the business type a good match for what we're striving for in the space? Is it a complement to our sort of our anchor tenant? Does it complement, does it best activate the space? And then does the business have a track record where they could be a reliable tenant, and based on what they're offering kind of holistically, sometimes in terms of improvements to the space, what rental terms would we then negotiate? So basically, rental terms were negotiated in part of engaging with the tenant. And those terms then are not final until City Council accepts those terms.
Okay.
I'll add, Chair Pinner, if I may, we also reviewed the business's business plan and financials, their revenues, because we wanted to be sure, obviously, that they could meet their commitment and that this would be a sustainable model for them.
So that was going to actually be my next question. What data would we obtain that there's a likelihood, or what is our expectation of getting a 10% share? That should be really calculated, or for us to understand the economics.
Yeah. So Chair Pinner, I'll speak to that. And I'll also add one more thing. In part of advertising these spaces, we looked at all of the other spaces advertised with rates, which, again, you all, there's a high level of familiarity and expertise in commercial real estate here. So I realize we're coming in at a, simplistic level, but just looking at comps around the area. Also, unfortunately, because there have been a high number of vacancies on this particular block, I think that makes the market more competitive. But I think we have a fair amount of information from all of our partners about what are the rates on State Street versus other commercial areas in the city. And the last point.
But my real question is, when looking at the financial information, historical sales for this business, what's the likelihood? What is the average monthly that we should be looking at? Because that 10% is going to factor into the income, and so we don't know
absolutely.
What that is.
So, Chair Pinner, to answer your current question, and so I was kind of finishing answering your previous question, looking at their financials, which they shared, the baseline rent actually matches with their good months or their strong months, and also in future years' projected sales. So, in a sense, their typical months outside of like holiday sales and whatnot would probably not be gaining percentage rent. They would not be above that threshold based on their previous sales. However, on holiday season and projected future sales are likely to go above that threshold. If that threshold was sort of flat to base rent, it would have been $30,000. But again, that was part of negotiating the right fit and agreement with this tenant. So we actually upped that floor to 50. So that would, for them, if they do have a good month, then we receive some percentage rent. But probably for the next couple of years, there would be limited percentage rent. And if they are successful in future years, there would be regular percentage rent.
All right, thank you. Mr. LaBrie.
Just to tag on to Mr. Pinner's question, staff, do you know how many, or anybody really, how many square feet they're coming from?
Yes, they're coming from about 1,000 square feet. So this is slightly more space.
So their revenue per square foot is, then you can kind of, that's somewhat equivalent. When, assuming this is approved at council, when do you expect the lease would start?
So we're pushing to start September 24th. That would allow them to do a build out, which does not include tenant improvements. The build out is purely their sort of retail design, and that would allow them to engage the holiday season.
And then just to confirm, the utilities are already separately metered, or?
Great question.
I was asking for your sake.
Yeah, exactly. So it has been a major effort as part of the significant investment that the Film Center is making in this building to disentangle what was previously all one big retail block. So this has historically been master leased out and all through one agreement to the city. So the city, the Film Center is doing some really heavy lifting, and I do not want to make light of that. The city has also been trying to sort of not match that effort, but honor that effort through our own of efforts to submeter water, electricity. In these cases, we will be metering sort of in-house on both water and electricity. In other words, we won't have a separate meter, but we'll have a sub-meter so that we can measure actual use. To answer your question, sorry.
No, that's good. Thank you, I appreciate it. That's all I have.
I'm going to follow up on that. I heard submeter, but was that just water you spoke with submeter, or each utility is getting a submeter?
Both water and electricity
Okay,
will be submetered.
okay, all right, thank you.
Small one. Just on the adjusting for inflation, is that like an annual adjustment? Is that for the base rent and the threshold for the percentage, or?
Great question. Always appreciate the precision. In that case, that is only for the base rent.
Okay, so over time, they're more likely to hit the 50,000 even if
Correct.
they're doing the same level of business, so that, okay, thank you.
If there's no questions, I have a few comments, but are there any questions from committee? Okay. I guess my comment is this, looking at it, if you were to just put a pure landlord's hat on, not thinking about the mix, how it affects the rest of the project, affects the street, all those things, it's a fairly low rental rate. I mean, being a gross lease, not triple net, it probably equates to about $1.75 triple net, which is I think, a low rate. But again, I think it's to understand the city's goals. That the goal with this space is to curate a space, and it's also whether it's to be cost neutral. I mean, are we seeing it as a profit center or just? It's not making any dollars being vacant, that's for sure, right? So you want to see it occupied, you want to see it being used, and you want to see the group being successful. So, I'm supportive of that's, if we're looking at it for sort of just again, I want to say the ambiance, that's the wrong word, but the street there and part of the center, I think that's a plus. I think they're a good tenant. They've been a tenant a long time in State Street. This has been here 30-plus years. So I think that's a positive. I probably would have, where I would be concerned with is the 5 years with an option to extend. To me, to set this level of rent, basically you're setting it for 10 years, I would suggest that in the option to extend, there's more of a potential market rate adjustment language than this, because it's hard to see where this might be in 5 years. The theater will be up and running in a different way, much more active, and you might benefit that way from the sales, percentage sales, but my only suggestion would be to not have an option that just continues the same exact structure. But that's my comment. I understand the goal. I think that you've got a good tenant here, and I'm supportive of that. I'm just concerned about a full 10 years. Those are my comments. Any other comments from Mr. Labrie?
Thank you, and maybe I missed it, but is there an escalation to the rent?
Just CPI.
So, okay. And is that stated here?
Sorry, just CPI. It is stated in the, maybe it's not stated in the, I apologize, that is not stated in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, and I would.
That would be increasing annually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So CPI, good, and I would concur with Chair Penner's suggestion that council consider or staff consider a market rate adjustment at the option period.
Great. Thank you.
And if I could clarify on options, the issue with options is, the tenant is not obligated to move forward, but the landlord is. So in essence, we're writing a 10-year lease, not a 5-year lease. And people often think of it as only 5, but we're writing a 10-year lease. And so I think it would be the right course of action to have a little bit more opportunity to adjust the rent at that point than just the CPI. So hopefully that's something, well, it depends on the committee here, but that would be my recommendation for that. Any other comments, Mr.?
I guess I have a question for staff maybe, because I'm certainly deferential to Chair Pinner and Committee Member Labrie when it comes to commercial real estate agreements. Is there a sense if that's a sticking point in the negotiations? How far along are we, or would this kind of complicate? If we gave that, if that was included, because you're asking for a recommendation, so if that was included in a recommendation, do we see that as something that'll slow the process down, or do you have a sense for that?
Committee Member Newkirk, I believe that if you all made this recommendation, that we could go to the tenant and see if that was agreeable to them. And I believe we would still have time to make that adjustment. It's a little tricky for the routing to City Council because we would need to make changes to the lease agreement. We need to make changes to the, there's actually an ordinance that goes with any lease that's at a 5-year term. I'll also note that as part of the city's process, all options to extend actually go back to City Council. So those options do have a little bit of there's a
Enlighten us, because that's not the way I would normally understand an option. So if there's something different that I don't know.
So I've had to explain this to the tenant. So, likely the intent would be honored by City Council to offer that option to extend. But just the way that a lease through the city is an ordinance for anything over 5 years, that extension does have to go to City Council. So if there was something that was a total mismatch and they exercised their option to extend, City Council would have at least the legal, I believe, the legal ability to renegotiate that option.
Agreed, but I don't think that is the intent. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably more like if something, like they had to do something very significant or the huge issue, that's where it would come from. I don't think it would be, hey, we think your rent's not what we agreed to is I wouldn't think that's the way to go, but.
Chair Pinner, to comment to Mr. Newkirk's question, I believe that if you all made a recommendation to consider a market rate adjustment for the option to extend, I think that we could explore that both with the city attorney and in routing and with the tenant, and if they're agreeable and we could make that happen, I think that we could try to make that change. I think an option to consider that would allow us flexibility if that's a deal breaker or if that's too difficult given the time constraints for routing.
Thank you, Mr. Labrie.
Just now, I'm curious, as a policy, does the city not do leases over 5 years without this ability or the requirement to go back to council? This isn't, this is more a point of curiosity, but just so we can understand, is it 5 years because that's the maximum the city will do?
So, Committee Member Labrie, through Chair Pinner, I will state that my expertise in commercial leases through the city is very limited, and that this is just something in terms of procedure. Like, I know that these are an ordinance that doesn't actually go through the ordinance committee, but they are still ordinances, and I will not make any comment on the nature of this because I think we would really need to have the city attorney to help us to understand these nuances. So maybe that's something that we can bring back. I think everyone in the city who's managing commercial leases is striving to learn from each other and standardize the process, standardize the lease templates, and really kind of understand the process as fully as possible. And so I think that's something that we could try to bring back at an appropriate time.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? I guess are we looking for a sort of a motion and a recommendation vote kind of here? That's what you're seeking?
We need public comments.
Yes, Chair, we do need public comment, but you are agendized for an action today.
Okay.
So a recommendation or declining to make a recommendation.
Great, thank you. All right, this is, we're going to open up, what number is this? Item number 2 for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
We have no speakers for public comment.
Thank you very much. We'll close public comment on this item and bring it back to the committee. Who wants to go first? Mr. Labrie or me?
Mr. Chair, I'm supportive of this lease with the suggestion to staff and council that a market rate adjustment be negotiated into the lease. And that would be my motion, that we support it with that recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Labrie. If I could maybe question, is it possible to recommend that it's a market rate adjustment an option, or they don't, or no option? The council could go either direction. Does that make sense, what I'm proposing? If they're having a struggle with language on that, they could just say it's a 5-year lease. It's just a recommendation. Or does that muddy the waters too much?
Trey and I are understanding each other. So if the city's process and their requirements don't allow for language that would speak to a market rate adjustment, you could just say, well, we'll just do 5 years and then we can talk about a renewal. We'll negotiate the renewal at the 5-year mark. So the recommendation to council to either, and to staff to negotiate a market rate adjustment, or if not possible, just simply a 5-year term.
I'd second the motion. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Mr. Newkirk?
Yes, sorry, I have. I mean, I got the sense from Mr. France that like the staff would like the language to consider. And are we saying we only are recommending if we can get one of those two things, or for them to, such that if this tenant is not supportive, we're kind of recommending killing the agreed upon terms?
You're asking if that's our recommendation, that they modify the option language or no option. Are we also recommending that there should be no lease, or?
No, well, because I think what Mr. France was saying is like consider, like, see if that can work, see if something can be done for that market rate adjustment, or potentially just leave it at 5 years. Kind of my concern is like, is that what we're actually recommend, like full stop? Are we asking staff to see if this is possible, but if not, we're okay with it moving forward, the way it's been described?
I understand your question. For clarification on the motion, currently the motion doesn't say don't do the lease. Otherwise, it says we recommend that there should either be a market rate adjustment or no 5-year, no option to renew. It doesn't indicate what the council should do should those things not come to pass. And I don't know if the motion maker wants to amend it or leave it just the way it is.
The maker of the motion would prefer to leave it as is, as the current language leaves room for negotiation.
Okay, so the motion would still stand as move forward the lease as presented with the potential modification for either a market rate adjustment or no option. Does that lead you to, do you have more questions? I think you do.
No.
Your eyes say you do. Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Mr.
I just want to ask staff if that motion sounds in line with what you're looking for.
Committee Member Pratt, through the chair, I was just going to ask if Committee Member Labrie could restate his motion, just so we're all on the same page of what that is.
So the committee is supportive of the proposal, but recommends that staff negotiate a fair market adjustment at the option period, and if not possible, under the City of Santa Barbara's leasing practices, that the city consider not offering an option, but rather simply renegotiate the lease at the end of 5 years, if that's a preferred route.
I concur. I think you just say, provide a market rate adjustment or just a 5-year lease with no option. If I would just shorten that. Are you still, come on, are you still unclear?
So, yeah, Chair Pinner, so just so I'm clear, you are moving that your motion is for the committee to recommend that the lease recommend that council approve the lease with either a negotiated rate adjustment, market rate adjustment at the 5-year option period, or limiting the lease to 5 years.
That is correct.
Okay, so you did not want to include the language about considering that?
I'll just comment. Based on this being a recommendation for the best way to advance this, my interpretation of this is that there is still some flexibility depending on what council and what the negotiating party is going to want. This is just like the most prudent recommendation coming from DPC.
Yeah, I think our goal is, as the DPC, we are recommending what we think council should do on this matter. Should council choose a different path, that's council's decision, but I believe, and I'll let Mr. LaBrie either say yes or no at the end of this, we are giving these suggestions to the modifications of the lease to be what we think would be more in line with market. Is that accurate, Mr. LaBrie?
Yes, I agree with that.
Does that help you, Ms. Clark? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
So excuse me, so the motion is to recommend that council approve the lease and recommend that staff negotiate market rate adjustment at the 5-year option or limit the lease to 5 years.
When you say staff, I guess, yeah, staff do that, and that
The city.
goes forward to the city. Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Okay, yes, that's correct. All right, I think we're clear on the motion. At this time, I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Are you a no?
Yeah.
Okay. The motion carries 3-1. And that was Mr. Newkirk. No, you got that. Okay. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to reports. Item number 3.
Thank you, Chair Pinner. I'd like to welcome Ethan Pitney and Kayla Fair to help present. We are very excited to be presenting and concurrently doing a heavy lift in launching an e-commerce solution for some of our more challenging labor-intensive work, and also some of the challenges in terms of being as responsive to customer service requests. It's been an effort of a number of years to have a smoother system that includes more automation and more ease for customers in terms of ongoing permits and other related functionalities. And so we're really excited to receive a report this morning from the duo that has been leading this effort, Ethan and Kayla.
Good morning. We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning, committee members. So Kayla and I are very excited to be providing an update on the implementation of Ski Data parking e-commerce, or e-com for short, parking permit management system. And it's not working. It just worked. Oh, apologies. It's okay. Yeah, my balance has improved a lot. Okay. So this Ski Data e-com system is a web-based permit management software. And this is a project that we've been looking forward to for a long time now. We believe that it's going to greatly enhance the customer experience and also help make things easier on our admin staff in office as well. So what it is basically for our monthly permit holders primarily, it will be a web-based portal where they can manage their parking permits. They can see the amount that they owe. They can add or remove permit holders in the case of group accounts. They can add or remove vehicles, things like that, which right now they would need to notify us either via email or they can call in, and it's a very manual, kind of time-consuming process. So we're very much looking forward to this new system. And another benefit of it is it is ski data software, so it will communicate with our current ski data is our vendor for our parks system, so it will communicate directly with that. So if you look at this table here, you can see our current system, the way we do things now versus the Ski Data e-com system. So when customers submit an application for a parking permit, the way it is now is it's a seamless form online primarily. We also have physical applications in the office. But either way, we do print out the physical application and we mark it off as it goes through the process. And then the customer would come in and pick up their permit. The Ski Data e-com system would be fully online. So when an applicant fills out, when they log in and fill out the application in the Ski Data e-com system, that data automatically, it basically lives there, and then it would eventually, upon approval from staff, be transferred into our Ski Data system. So right now it's a much more manual process, and this will automate things quite a bit. So another thing, right now we do have several databases where we store permit holder information. So we use Microsoft Access primarily, which is very antiquated at this point. And then we also have the Ski Data software. So there's two places where we're inputting data, and what comes with that is needing to do regular audits and things like that, so that we make sure everything lines up. The Ski Data e-com system will be all one. So if we ever need to look at permit holder information, there's basically one place to look. Another big one, and one of the main requests that we've been getting from customers over the years is our payment system. Auto pay has been the #1 thing requested from customers for some time. So right now in our current system, it is a somewhat manual process. The customers will receive an invoice in the mail, and then they will have to go online to submit payment for that invoice. With Ski Data e-com, you'll be able to log in kind of like you would if you were paying utilities. You can see what you owe, you can look at previous payments, and it's all in real time, versus right now the physical invoices that are printed and mailed they're static once they're generated, so they don't change. And then they will have an option to do auto pay, where your card is automatically deducted each month. And then another important one is for permit blocking. So if we have permit holders who are past due, after a period of time, we will block their permit, and it will not allow them into the lot until they get current on payment, essentially. With Ski Data e-com, that will be automatically done. As soon as if the card fails to process, then their permit will be blocked right then. Versus right now, we have to go through and manually block and unblock, and it's quite time-consuming for staff.
And Mr. Pitney, if I can just add,
Yeah.
the reverse is also true. When somebody makes payment, they're unblocked immediately, which is really important because that manual delay can
Good
be
point.
frustrating for people.
Especially on the weekends, like if they submit payment on the weekends and our admin staff are not in the office, we wouldn't be able to unblock their permit until Monday. Versus with e-com, it would be instant. So this is what the e-com homepage looks like. We've been working with Ski Data, and Kayla's been doing a lot of back and forth with the Ski Data reps to get this looking how we want it. So this is basically the homepage here. You can see it's pretty simple and straightforward. In the center of the screen there, you see it's a drop down of all of the lots where we offer monthly permits. And then right next to that is the start date that you can select there, and then you can hit search. You can also just leave it set to all lots and hit search, and then it'll bring up a list of all of the lots with details on the lots, and then also photos of each lot as well. So you can see on the right there, that's what it would look like when you click on a lot. And this photo is not even how it looks right now. We have made improvements since then. So now it has details such as amenities. If there's charging stations offered in that lot or something, it'll show it there. And then we also have some of our terms and conditions and how to use the permit and basics like that, just kind of further explaining, when you click in the details of the lot. And then once you know which lot you want to subscribe to, you would hit that subscribe now button at the bottom. And then if you look on the left, it would bring you to a login or an account creation portal there. So, and I will now hand it off to Kayla, who will talk about timeline. My bad, I'm just going to sit down.
All right, good morning, everybody. So this is our current timeline. We have been working with Ski Data for this upgrade for the last couple of months, but this is where we're at currently. The site is fully operational, so we are currently testing it. Our staff is signing up. We're going through the final edits with Ski Data. We had more training and meetings with them yesterday, so just making those final little adjustments of verbiage that we prefer and any updates to pictures. But it is operational. So again, our staff is just testing it out, signing up from the customer, point of view, seeing if there's anything that just doesn't make sense. We're creating a how to sign up so that all of our customers have a PDF to reference. And then next week is our soft launch. So we'll be sending the link out by email to all of our current permit holders. We're giving them a little bit extra time because this is a really big push. We have a lot of permit holders, and to ask them to go in and take time and create this new system, even though we really do believe that it'll be better for them in the long run. We just want to give them that extra time and not really rush them in the process. So they'll have a couple of weeks. They are paying their September invoice through our current system, so they'll start paying in e-com October 1st. And it'll actually be grayed out too, excuse me, so that they can't sign up for a September start date in e-com. That way they're not double paying for September. So the first date that they'll be able to click is October 1st. We've also been working with Ski Data to ensure that their permit will continue to work during that transition, so there won't be any hiccups, fingers crossed, and no delays there. October 1st is our hard launch, so the system will go live on our website. Starting October 1st, anyone signing up for a monthly permit will go through e-com, and will no longer use our old application process. And our goal is to have the transition complete by the end of October. So in 2021, we added Sweb Mobile to all of our lots. For those of you who don't know and haven't used Sweb Mobile before, it's just an easier way to pay before you exit. It can expedite the process. On your ticket that you took at entrance, there's a little QR code. You'll scan that. It's not an app, so it just brings up a website. You can pay online. And then as you're exiting, either by your LPR or by your ticket, it'll notice that you've already paid and the gates will raise and you're free to go. So this has been a really great addition for us. It's actually utilized a lot more than we realized. And as we've been going through this upgrade process and trying to find the right software for us, we realized that Sweb Mobile actually offers a lot more. We've just been using one portion of it. And so e-com is a portal within Sweb Mobile. Because of that, it made it a lot easier to go through the approval process with IT and with finance, because it's already a software that we're using. It's a vendor that we've been using for years. So it's been an easier transition. It did require a software upgrade, which I'll go over a little bit more in detail later, but it allows us a lot more options down the road for this upgrade. One thing that we're going to implement immediately with this e-com is the e-com wallet, and it will actually be taking place of our current prepaid cards. The prepaid cards have been a really great option for customers that park downtown less, and so they don't want to pay $165 a month for a permit, but they do want a different option than having to pay with their card every time. The prepaid cards have been a little bit clunky, though. They haven't been, the absolute perfect solution, so we're really excited for this transition to wallet instead. Our current prepaid cards are an HID card, so you can either submit a request online to purchase one or come into the office. You'll come get your HID card. Customers can refill them online, which is a really nice option. You don't have to get a new card every single time. However, the refill process, kind of like our unblocking, can take some time. It's all very manual, so the customers have to fill out a full form, type in their serial number, how much they want to add to it, and then our staff has to take it to SkiData, do the refill, process payment in 2 places. It's just so many steps. And again, if they submit a refill over the weekend because their prepaid card is at a $0 balance, we can't get to it until at least Monday. One of the other downsides to our current prepaid cards is that there's no way for our customers to check their current balance. So we get a lot of calls and emails just requesting, how much is left on their card. So with eCom Wallet, we still will be offering the HID cards. We prefer that all of our customers have those just in case LPR ever isn't functioning. That way they still have, the option to get in and out. But they will also be able to sign up for LPR. One of the cool functions of this is they can actually add multiple cars onto one payment as well. So what they'll do is they'll sign up in eCom just like they would for a monthly subscription. They'll create their account, and it'll be a $60 gift card essentially. And then on that card, they can add, I'm still verifying with SkiData, it's either 4 or 5 identifiers. But so if you're a family, you can purchase a $60 card and then have all of your vehicles listed on there. Your teenage kids go downtown, they can just use that and you don't have to worry about sending them with extra money for parking. It's also a really great option for businesses that want to pay for their part-time employees parking, so they can add all of their vehicles there. It does also have the option to opt in for an auto top-up, which is what they call it, where as soon as your card reaches 0, it just automatically charges the credit card on file. It would be the $60 again, and then you can continue parking. But you can also opt out to that. So you can just do your $60 once it's at 0. That would be the end of that. And then similar to the monthly permits, you have your full portal there. So you can see, every transaction, you can see your balance. And the kind of cool thing is in this portal, you can have multiple subscriptions. So if you're a monthly permit holder at Lot 6, but you also, want to frequent Lot 11 and go, further downtown, you can also have an eCom wallet on that same subscription so that you have, the same benefits of using your LPR at all lots, just with a little bit different payment system. So the eCom wallet is what we're implementing now, but there are a lot of other possibilities that eCom presents. And so these are some things that we're going to be kind of looking into over the coming months and see if it's something that we think we can utilize in our system. One option that we're excited about is the updated hardware. As you all know, our current hardware is at end of life. We did inherit some columns from the airport, and we weren't able to install them previously just because we hadn't done that software upgrade. So now that we have the new software, we can start installing those. A lot of the new hardware has larger LCD screens. It's easier to read. You can provide more information for customers. They have, audible functions that tell you how to pay. And then they also have the QR code, which I'm really excited about that option. It could replace our HID cards, which would save us money. And it would also make it so that the customer doesn't have to come in and actually pick up a physical card. In your email, you would just get your QR code, save it to your Apple Wallet, and then you're good to go. And then some of the software options that we're looking at are the pay-per-use. It's very similar to the wallet function. However, you pay each time that you go instead of $60 up front. Again, it can have multiple vehicles added on. And it operates similarly to the monthly permit. So right now, anybody with the prepaid card takes a ticket at entrance, and then they just use the prepaid card to pay at exit. This one, as well as the wallet, you don't have to take a ticket, which will also save us a lot of money. We spend about $70,000 in tickets every year, just, all those customers getting one every single time. If we have a lot more people signing up for pay-per-use and wallet, they wouldn't be taking tickets for their hourly parking. They would scan their HID card or use the LPR system upon entrance and exit. So we'll be investigating that one a little bit more. And then the online event reservations, we're not sure if this will integrate with our current system at the moment, but it is something that we want to look a little bit further into. I think it would be more beneficial if and when we had the QR code capability, because if someone's just coming for one event downtown at the Granada, we don't want to give them an HID card. And if LPR went down, all 500 people going to that event wouldn't be able to get in. So I think the QR code would be a better option for this. But it's just a way for them to pay in advance instead of our current, event systems where we have event staff there. You pay as you enter the $5. This would just be paying before you even come downtown. So I will turn it all over to you guys if you have any questions or comments.
Well, great. I'll start with just a comment, which is, wow, great. I know this is a lot of work, but I think you guys are pretty excited about it. We are too. I think for the many, many years, we've been talking about convenience for the customer as being probably one of the most important things to get to. And when we added Sweb Mobile, that was sort of said that first, like, hey, this is something new for your customer. But I think it's taken a while to get used to, but now use it. I use it all the time. It's great. But this is like 10 times that or 100-fold that. I mean, the fact that you don't have to go down and get cards all the time, and I think it's fantastic. So, and my only question, but again, I'm positive about it. You mentioned on the multiple user account, which I think is really important to be able to have it that a family or a company, because lots of times companies want to provide some parking for their staff, and this is a way to do it. But then they can sign up for a couple vehicles together. But you mentioned the HID card being important if LPR goes down, but that's where the QR code comes in, I guess, because then a family, how does that QR code work amongst multiple users? Does that make sense on the account?
It does make sense.
Okay.
So right now, we would still want each user to have an HID card,
Okay.
Which might mean that they were able to have less LPR on, depending on how many we can add in there. Each one counts as its own identifier. So HID and LPR would be two identifiers if you had them on your permit. So we are still investigating that a little bit more with ski data to see how that'll quite work. In the future, the QR codes would hopefully just replace the LPR. We would prefer a family not to share it because, we wouldn't want it to cause any problems in the system if they were all using it at the same time. So each one would receive their own QR code that they would utilize on their phone.
So if I'm clear, the QR code really replaces the HID card. So that's what I'm getting at. The
Correct.
goal is, instead of a family having 3 HID cards, they just have 3 different codes.
Correct.
And that sounds like what you're hoping to get to.
That's
Okay.
my goal personally.
Wow. Okay, it's my goal too, so
Perfect.
we're sharing that goal. So it sounds great. I think this is leading us to something we've wanted to do for years. It may allow us to do multiple rate options depending on use of the lots. You're a high user, you may get, I don't know, there's lots of things we can do.
Definitely.
So I think it's great. Any other comments from the committee?
I just have a question with essentially the new data collection and new database. Do you see opportunities for us to actually play with and manipulate the data to answer questions like, can we see monthly usage per, to like total monthly usage per license plate, for instance? so we can get a sense of, just get better sense of usage and how the system's working? Like, do we get to play with the data?
I do think the reporting will be pretty similar to how it is currently. Our system is called parking.logic with ski data. And I actually don't know that quite as well. I don't normally run the reports. So Ethan or maybe Roy could answer that a little bit better. But to my knowledge, it's not really offering any new reporting in ecom, so it'll still be the same as what we've previously had in parking.logic.
And Committee Member Labrie, through the chair, I will ask Roy to jump in if I'm wrong and things have changed. I haven't been in ski data in a minute, but typically for monthly permits, you can see all the transactions. So you can look up a permit and see every time it was used going back a few months, 3 months still. Yeah. And then, at any given time, we can see every transaction that's made in our system. So it would surprise me if there wasn't an ability to do something like that associated with the credentials that will be used through ecom.
So just to clarify, is that just a total number of transactions or trips per se, or is it actual duration of time?
It is entry time and exit time, so date, time. So it's the whole thing.
I'd like to build on that and add one more element. Committee Member Labrie, to your question through the chair, it's important to note also that as we do want to do a better job of sort of market analysis, but it's important to note that we anonymize this data when we do this. We're not tracking people, right? We're just getting a sense, for example, for occupancy, for how much our permit holders are using the lots, so that we know how much that impacts our ability to serve hourly customers, right? For example, they're not there one-to-one. They're not, I think we generally can kind of oversubscribe permits because of the overlap, and we're still trying to understand hybrid schedules and things like that. Which is why also these the wallet and the pay-as-you-go options are so important, because people have more flexible work schedules, especially post-pandemic. I didn't want it to go unsaid to share about payment methods. One thing that we're excited about to add to sort of sweeten the deal for this is that we are adding American Express as a payment method. I'm looking at you, Sean Pat. So I think there might be more to come there. I know the city is making efforts to be able to accept e-check, and that's something that we've been in discussions with SCIDATA. At this point, this would be only credit card, but we are adding Amex for this functionality, not for hourly permits at this time.
Well, I'm going to say you had me at online payment. I mean, just the fact that people can pay online it's an expectation, really. We should just be excited that we're getting to a point that this is something that people expect, and their level of frustration with not being able to do that, I imagine, is high, and it makes it hard on the staff too to not be able to do what the customer is hoping you can do. So I think this is a real benefit for staff to just be able to offer service that people expect today, to be able to just not have to send in a check or come down and pay and take days to do it as opposed to seconds to get it done. So I think that's huge, and I do agree with Mr. Bree that the future benefits that we can derive from this I think are going to be really important. And with the data, obviously, as you say, it's not tracked, but at some point you may, I don't know if you'd also be able to track how many, a percentage of the vehicles come from a certain area. I don't know if that's possible, but that kind of stuff is very helpful for us managing the system, whatever extra data you can provide. Mr. LeBrie.
Yeah, you just mentioned it, Mr. Chair. This is more of a move from a manual system to an automated system, but in that move, if there are any ways that we can strengthen our ability to differentiate between user groups, so like locals versus regional versus out of town, and I don't, if it's just adding more, boxes to fill, just so that we start tracking that. If it's automated, it seems like it'll be easier to collect. So as an overriding kind of goal and principle, being able to really identify the movements and the use of these different user groups would be a goal of mine for the system. So I'm curious about the data.
I love it.
Okay, I'm going to open up for public comment if there's any public speakers.
No speakers for public comment.
Okay, we'll close public comment on this item. Anything else from the committee? Okay. I think you can see our happiness with your happiness, staff happiness, Parker happiness. We just want happiness. And this is going to help. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let's move on to our final item, which is item number 4.
Mr. Chair, can I just
Yes.
ask a procedural question?
Yep.
The way that the agenda is written for the previous item, it says provide, or review and provide input. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread that. Never mind. I thought there was something for us to approve.
We approved happiness. I'm sorry, I didn't make a motion, but I thought that was clear. All right, we'll move on to item number 4. This is regarding update on the custodial services with Downtown Santa Barbara Improvement Association.
Thank you, Chair Pinner. So this is just going to be a very brief update. The contract for custodial services with Downtown Santa Barbara Improvement Association went to City Council back at the end of July, and so I just wanted to give the committee an overview of what services we've contracted out, how much we're paying for them, and sort of what our responsibilities and our ongoing relationship with the DSBIA will be. So to review the agreement terms, like I said, the agreement was approved by City Council on July 29th with the initial term of the agreement. So this first year is going to be a little bit short. It's going to run from September 1st to June 30th, 2026. That was to give DSBIA some time to get their contractor onboarded and the organization up and running and ready to go. So for year 1, the total amount of that, or the total maximum amount of that agreement is $718,000, and that agreement is renewable for up to 4 additional 1-year terms. So that is through the initial authorization of the assessment for the DSBIA. So for full year terms, it'll be about $800,000. We arrived at that number based on sort of a detailed accounting of what the city had been spending to perform these services, these same services that we're contracting out now, plus a cost or a CPI adjustment. So, and that would be an annual adjustment that we'd be looking at going forward to that total amount. These funds, rather than being funded out of the downtown parking fund, as they have been in years past, where downtown parking has actually provided those services, this is now a general fund commitment. So this money is coming from the general fund and will be used to fund these services on the 400 through 1200 blocks of State Street. So basically, this agreement replaces the services that the city and downtown parking previously provided on the State Street Plaza. The DSBIA will then provide their special benefit services over and above that, which is what it allows them to do more frequent cleanings where they see fit, or serve a larger area, in particular, adding on the 0 blocks as well as Chapala and Anacapa Street. So the services that we have contracted out. First off, there's just our daily trash pickup and janitorial. Generally, we've done a big effort in the morning with on-call response during the day as needed. So that will become the responsibility of DSBIA, and DSBIA has subcontracted these services out to a company called District Management Services. So DSBIA is the city's contractor, and District Management Services is DSBIA's contractor, who's actually out in the field and performing these services. So trash pickup, pressure washing, which will continue on a weekly schedule for the blocks on State Street. Again, DSBIA's intent is to add additional area there, so expanded the 0 blocks as well as Chapala and Anacapa Street. Weekly landscape maintenance of the planters, bio-waste cleanup as needed, cleaning surfaces and street furniture. If you've been out on State Street lately, you've probably seen them blasting the light poles with the pressure washers. So they're getting that all scrubbed down, but that would just be the normal daily wipe downs of those surfaces. Graffiti removal, so long as it does not involve painting, if it's something that can be cleaned off of public property as well as private property. They'll be doing that. Will be responsible for the flag rotation on State Street, as well as the annual holiday lighting display will be turned over to them as well. So downtown parking is still retaining involvement in the State Street Plaza. We will continue to provide maintenance and repair services for the physical infrastructure that's out there. So brick sidewalks, when electrical pedestals need repaired, things like that. So the actual hardscape that's out there, we continue to be responsible for. The city, through urban forestry, is going to continue to trim the trees on its regular schedule. We will also be responsible for painting on public property. So when graffiti is unable to be removed through cleaning and we actually paint it, that's what the city will take care of that on public property. And we do remain responsible for the underpass area, the 101 underpass area down to the Dolphin Fountain. So we still have those bottom 2 blocks, which are outside the DSBIA's sort of boundaries. So that is, I believe, all I have for you today. I just wanted to give you a quick run through of that. They started last week, was their first official week, so September 1. You'll see their folks out there in gray vests right now cleaning. They've got quite a big crew that is on site and out in the field every day, and we're working closely with them to coordinate between each other.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. If I can maybe add a few other things. I do serve on the executive committee for the DSBIA, and this has been a heavy lift from both sides, and I just want to say how great they've done. Kudos to Ms. Clark and her team, and also to Ms. Elander, the executive director for the DSBIA, to get this going, and it took quite a bit of time to pick the right contractor through lots of interviews and work with the city. So it's been a lot of work, but I think it's going to be extremely beneficial. And I just wanted to know, one of the important things I think for going this direction is, the DSBI area that they cover is more than just State Street. They cover all the 0 blocks, the east side of Chapala and the east-west side of Anacapa. And the advantage here is there's going to be one vendor doing the cleaning. There won't be, hopefully, finger pointing at, if it was, city was still doing downtown State Street and we were assisting with downtown State Street, and then there'd be a lot of, well, I cleaned that yesterday and they should have, I think this is going to really work well to have just one vendor doing all these areas. And I hope so far that we've been pleased with the first period of time. I think it's been going well. Is that correct?
Yes, Chair Penner, so far so good. We're only about 2 weeks into it, but we see them working hard out there. They've been very responsive and communicative, and so we're very hopeful and optimistic, and I think it's looking good.
Yeah, we're on that same page too. So I think hopefully everyone sees or pleased with how the outcomes come with this group. And I think there's going to be a lot of attention and focus on them for quite a while. So they're definitely being well watched, I think. So that's just my additional comments to that. Before I open it for public comment, are there any other committee comments? Okay, seeing none, is there any public comment?
No speakers for public comment.
All right, we'll close public comment. Again, I'll just wrap up. Thank you to the team for all the effort it took to bring this new agreement together. And I look forward to the renewal each year of the committee. I think you probably are hopeful for the renewal too. This is
Very much so, yes.
so, okay, with that, we'll close item 4, and I think that was our last item on the agenda, so we'll move to an adjournment. All right, thank you.